And now for our next news special report.
In a world where borders are more than just lines on a map, Texas Governor Greg Abbott makes a monumental stand. Picture this: Eagle Pass Park, once a symbol of openness, now a fortress under Texas control. This isn't just about land, it's about sovereignty, safety, and the clash between state and federal powers. Imagine federal agents, once guardians of the border, now barred from stepping foot in this Texas territory. It's a move that's as bold as it is controversial, and you're about to witness a story of defiance, power, and patriotism, a story that not only questions the role of the federal government, but also challenges the very core of our nation's border policy. So stay with us for an exclusive report that will shed light on this unprecedented move by Texas and why it matters for every American. And trust me, you don't want to miss my final thought on this. It's something every American needs to hear. Now, before we dive any deeper into our special report on Texas' daring move at Eagle Pass, let's take a moment to think about the situation like the soaring value of gold. Just as gold has hit over $2,000 an ounce amid global turmoil, Texas is asserting its value and strength in the face of crisis. Wars and economic shifts drive gold value, similar to how current border challenges are driving Texas to take bold actions. And just like smart investors turn to trusted groups like the Patriot Gold Group in uncertain times, Texas has taken charge to safeguard its interests. This is about foresight and resilience, qualities that both gold investors and Texas are showcasing right now. So give them a call at 888-857-9437 and mention Next News for best-in-class service and request your free investor guide. Now, in the dead of night, a bold decision echoes through the quiet streets of Eagle Pass, Texas. Governor Greg Abbott, leveraging his emergency powers, has made an unprecedented move, seizing control of Shelby Park, a popular crossing point for illegal immigrants, and barring federal agents from entry. This action is not just a statement, it's a full-scale rebellion against what many see as a federal failure to secure our nation's border. Eagle Pass has been a hotspot in the ongoing border crisis, with illegal crossings rampant under the watch of the Biden administration. The Texas National Guard, under Abbott's command, has now deployed armed soldiers and vehicles, essentially drawing a line in the sand. This isn't just about controlling a park, it's about controlling a narrative that has long plagued our republic, the narrative of unchecked illegal immigration and the federal government's ineptitude in handling it. Now, the Texas Department of Public Safety takeover of the 47-acre park adjacent to the Rio Grande symbolizes more than territorial control. It represents a state's right to defend its citizens when the federal government fails to do so. The message is clear: Texas will no longer stand idly by as the crisis at the southern border escalates. Now, the area, previously a gateway for illegal entry, is now fortified under Texas law. Take a look at this. This is the footage on the ground in Eagle Pass Park. Barriers erected here. Texas National Guard troops have now claimed this, keeping the federal government out, which is a very bold move. Drawing a line in the sand without question. Now, this move by Governor Abbott has been met with both applause and criticism. Supporters see it as a necessary step towards reasserting control over the border. Critics, however, including voices from the Biden administration, have been quick to label it as an overstep of state power. But what cannot be ignored is the sheer number of illegal immigrants estimated to have entered the U.S. since Biden took office, a staggering 11 million. Now, this invasion, as some have termed it, necessitates bold actions. And the federal government's approach to the border crisis has been lackluster at best. Their policies, often mired in bureaucracy and political correctness, have done little to stem the tide of illegal immigration. In contrast, Texas' approach is direct and decisive. By taking control of Shelby Park, Texas sends a powerful message to Washington. If you won't protect our borders, we will. The situation in Eagle Pass is a microcosm of a larger issue at play. Border towns across Texas have borne the brunt of the federal government's failure to effectively manage immigration. The scenes of women and children being pulled out of the Rio Grande are heart-wrenching and all too common. These are not isolated incidents, but daily realities for border communities. Take a look. Now, there's some footage in here we had to cut out. It was just too traumatic to share with you. But you can can see these people struggling in Rio Grande.
Right here.
This is what Joe Biden is allowing to occur. Many deaths that happen, the blood is on his hands.
He's good, he's good.
Now, we had to cut it there because there's footage in there of people drowning, and it's pretty intense. Governor Abbott's actions, while controversial, speak to a growing sentiment among many Americans, the need for decisive leadership in times of crisis. His willingness to confront the federal government head-on is not just about border security, it's about the sovereignty and safety of Texas and, by extension, the entire United States. But it's not just about keeping illegal immigrants out, it's about what happens when they get in. The influx of illegal immigrants strains local resources, affects job markets, in many cases leads to an increase in criminal activity. Texas's tough stance is not only about border security, but also about preserving the quality of life for its citizens. Amid this state-led initiative, there's been backlash from the Biden administration and others who criticize Abbott's heavy-handed approach. They argue that such actions only exacerbate the situation and create unnecessary tension between state and federal authorities. Here's more.
On the U.S.-Mexico border tonight, we're following 3 developing stories. First, Texas has taken control of a park in Eagle Pass against that city's wishes. The mayor there says DPS took control of Shelby Park right on the Rio Grande, citing a state disaster declaration in order to prevent migrants from crossing the river. Second, Texas Attorney General Ken Paxton filed new paperwork with the U.S. Supreme Court in the fight over the state's razor wire on the border. The Biden administration is asking the High Court to let Border Patrol officers take it down because it's interfering with federal law. But today, Paxton responded, saying the feds are simply ignoring other court rulings that have sided with the state. And that third story, new criticism of the governor tonight over a recent comment he made saying Texas is doing everything it can to protect the border, except shooting migrants. The governor said that last Friday on the Dana Lash radio show, while the two were talking about the legal fights between Texas and the Biden administration.
We are deploying every tool and strategy that we possibly can. The only thing that we're not doing is we're not shooting people who come across the border because, of course, the Biden administration would charge us with murder.
The chair of the Texas Democrats issued a statement tonight. It reads in part, quote, "Time and time again, Greg Abbott and Texas Republicans have made it abundantly clear they have no morality or humanity. This bloodthirsty approach to governance is dangerous not only for migrants and Texans of color, but for our entire state." End quote. KVUE has reached out to the governor's office for a comment. We have not heard back.
However, what critics often overlook is the dire situation that necessitated such drastic measures. The crisis at the southern border is not a new problem, but it has certainly worsened under the current administration. The surge in illegal crossings, coupled with the federal government's seeming indifference, has left states like Texas with little choice but to act. As Governor Abbott has frequently pointed out, Texas is not just fighting against illegal immigration, it's fighting for the safety and well-being of its citizens. The state's decision to seize control of Shelby Park and bar federal agents is not just about making a political statement, it's about taking concrete action to address a problem that's long been ignored by Washington. In this ongoing battle for border security, Texas has emerged as a leader, willing to take the tough decisions that others shy away from. Governor Abbott's bold stance is more than just a challenge to the federal government. It's a rallying cry for those who believe in strong borders and the rule of law. If you got value from this report, tap subscribe and make sure you don't miss my final thought. It's a perspective everyone needs to hear. Now let's be crystal clear. What's happening in Texas isn't just a border issue. It's a stark illustration of a federal government that has abdicated its primary responsibility to protect its citizens. Governor Abbott's decisive action in Eagle Pass is not only commendable, it's necessary. While the federal government dithers, Texas stands as a bastion of resolve, protecting not just its own sovereignty, but that of our entire republic. The situation at Eagle Pass is a symptom of a broader crisis, a crisis of leadership at the highest levels of our federal government. The Biden administration's failure to secure our border is not just a policy oversight, it's a blatant disregard for the safety and well-being of every American citizen. Texas' stand should be a wake-up call for Washington. It's high time the federal government start taking its responsibilities seriously, or more states will and should follow Texas' lead in safeguarding the American way of life.
Congratulations, you made it to the end of the video. Now keep up your quest for truth with this next news report. And if you found our channel enlightening, join the millions who agree with you. Tap subscribe. Thank you for watching the Next News Network.